Hello everybody, and how you been? Yesterday I saw The Master for the second time, and I think I enjoyed it, not surprisingly more the second time. I certainly understood it a little bit more. I certainly caught it a little bit more. I basically just had an overall much better time in the theater watching this film. I'm going to give it a 9. I think it's a solid 9. I gave the first viewing an 8, if I remember correctly. I saw this not in 70 millimeters and not on one of the biggest screens in Los Angeles. That's how I saw the first viewing. I saw it on opening day on a ginormous screen, one of the biggest in Los Angeles, and in the way it was shot, 70 millimeter. I did not see the 70 millimeter print for the second time. I did notice a huge difference. I can't really describe it, but you just remember. You remember things being much brighter, things being much just more huge and grand. And there was definitely, a change. Now, if I had never seen the 70 millimeter, and this was just the first time I'd seen it, it's still fine. It still looked beautiful. But something about that massive format just is just gorgeous. I still think this is a very, I always get them fucking confused, but subjective work of art. Hopefully I don't mean objective. I can never remember the difference between objective and subjective, and how I can get my brain to remember which is which. But this is a work of art. It's going to mean, you could have 8 different people watch this movie, and you're going to get 8 different opinions, 8 different meanings of what this film stands for. I don't really want to talk about that. I can't tell you what you should think about this film. For my first review, I thought it, and the pervasive theme was failure. This sense of failing to live right, failing to help others, failing to make a difference, and how the human soul deals with ever-present and crushing failure. That's what I took a lot out of it. This time, and I think what I got so much more out of it. One, this is a 2-hour and 15-minute film, I believe. Or maybe I'm wrong about that. That was Looper. Maybe this is 2:45. Anywho, the first time I watched it, again, in kind of an indifferent environment. It was a nearly sold-out theater. I had individuals to my left and to my right. There was no breathing room, as I like to say. It was crowded. And part of me, when put in that situation, wants to be out of that situation. And I just thought that, my first viewing, the film drug a little bit. The second act took a little bit to get through. This time, the film zoomed right along. It was just, boom, done. And the film is, I believe nearly 3 hours, 2 hours, 40 minutes maybe, I can't remember. But anyway, it went by much, much, much quicker this time. Because, I don't know, there was maybe 6 people in a average size theater, so it took out that audience element. So I could focus a lot more on the, when I saw The Master the first time, the lady next to me, she's one of those people who just gets a buffet of food for some reason. I don't understand why people get food to go to a movie. They get the nachos, they get the popcorn, they get the giant tub of soda, they get hot dogs. It's like they're going to a fucking baseball game instead of sitting down to appreciate art. And I don't understand that. I hate that, actually. So this woman next to me gets a buffet of food, and it smells terrible, and she's shoving it into her hole all through the movie. And I know it shouldn't, but what gave me the most pleasure is when she stood up, she dumped her soda all over the poor man in front of her. And he, took it in stride, and I couldn't believe how he's so much better than I am, because I tell you what, if I get a 64-ounce Pepsi dumped on me, I'm not going to be happy, and I'm sure as fuck not going to sit through a 3-hour movie, and he did. So that's kudos to him. But again, see, that's what I'm recalling when I think of my original Master experience. I'm thinking about the, the fucking human animals that you have to tolerate. So this second time, I got to focus a lot more on the film and not the mouth breathers surrounding me. It still makes me mad. The acting is amazing in this film. It is if you know what to watch for, you can learn so much about the techniques of film acting. Not necessarily like stage acting, or maybe even necessarily acting for television. But acting for the camera, and particularly just this, like right here, being focused on, you can learn so much about what has to be done. This is no pun intended, a master's class in acting. You get 3 virtuoso performances from 3 virtuoso actors. You've got P.S. Hoffman, you've got Joaquin Phoenix, and you've got your Amy Adams. These are your 3 main characters of the film, and they are all mesmerizing, magnetic, the best of the year so far. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to go with Joaquin Phoenix between P.S. Hoffman, just because I think that he had to torture himself more to get to the places he was in this film. But the two of them together, I don't know how you pick, who is better. And then Amy Adams just ties it all together. She has to deal with all of the sickness in the film. So, she's amazing as well. I think there would just be a multitude of acting nominations. Well, I think there'll probably be a multitude of nominations, period, for this film, I would think. But, it's winning the acting categories. I don't see how performances will come along this year that will outshine the ones here. Again, it's just masterful. I watched Spellbound. I'm an actor, and I love acting, and there's nothing I love more than watching, someone be dramatic and flip out and, want to destroy the very essence of themselves. I think that's fascinating, and why they would do it so willingly. It's magic to me, and it's just bright, beautiful, and on display for the world to see here. It's still, thought it's a thinking man's film. It's not, again, even though this moved a lot quicker for me, it's still slow. It's still thinking. It's still, I suppose metaphorical. I'm not certainly going to tell you what those metaphors might mean, but I just know that there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of subtlety going on here, but right now I'm just captivated with all the acting. I can't, get past that. I can't tell you what the film means, and even the shots were composed, Paul Thomas Anderson, the writer and director and genius behind this work, he seems to be, along with David Fincher, and this second generation of Kubrick followers, who work at the same aesthetic and pace and level of Stanley Kubrick. And I know, that, the shots were beautifully composed. You could take freeze frames and it will look like a painting you'd be proud to hang on a wall. but yet all of the shots are perfectly composed. The colors, to a lot of people, like, the colors mean something, and like, the white drapes, blowing in the breeze symbolizes his, sanity escaping. People look at films that way. I don't, unless I've seen a film just countless times and it just kind of suddenly dawns on me. I can't do that, certainly here with The Master, especially only after 2 viewings. But it's incredibly layered. It's an exemplary example of film. It just shows, it encapsulates the power of, the moving image and what can be, expressed. Paul Thomas Anderson, he just knows how to do that. His films look gorgeous. They're all very human in the fact that they are dark. They take us to places that we don't necessarily want to go. He shows us things that we don't want to see, but yet are true and must be faced at some point. The music here I want to talk about a little bit because I don't think I talked about it much in the first. Well, I'll get it out of the way. The part that I know is Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead. He did the score for There Will Be Blood, and he's done the original score here. I didn't find his score to be as impactful as I did with There Will Be Blood, which was just like a explosion. I mean, that film to me is damn near perfect. That is a 10 for me, There Will Be Blood. So it's not to that level and expert execution, but it's still very good. But what I do want to talk about is the importance of music in this film. The climax of this film is a song. Is 2 men sitting at a table with one person singing and the other weeping. And even though I have just exactly described to you the end of the film, you know nothing about the end of the film. There are key scenes with hallucinations on all surrounding music. And I'm talking about source music. Music from that era coming out of, something in that scene, be it a radio or, chamber orchestra or whatever you want to call it. Quartet, not orchestra. But, music is very important. And I think that, they talk a lot about sound. And I think I want it to mean something, and I don't know what it means, but they always talk about, the sound of laughter. And I also found it interesting how, again, it goes back to that failure, how he flip-flops, and when one thing doesn't work, he changes it to where it will work. He realizes it's failed, and he needs to try something else, so he does. But the music, I don't, again, I just know that it's important. I can't tell you exactly what it means, but I think it's key to understanding the film. Just because, again, like the entire climax of the film, the emotional apex is a song. And I want to crack it. I want to know what's going on. And there's a lot going on in terms of music. And I think it means something. But I can't tell you that right, now what it means. But I think it's definitely a key to figuring something out about this film. But it's beautiful music. Again, it's all from the era. Some of it is sung by the cast. Some of it is just original recordings. And it's like a time capsule. Usually the music is beautiful. This is music of the time of war. It's painful to listen to. All the songs are sad, but yet sound happy. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's a reflection of the film. Because everyone is dreadfully sad. And at times I would appear lost. And yet, it's like, we're okay, I don't know what else to say about the film other than I enjoyed it, more the second time around. I definitely appreciated more, I caught more, and the acting is, again, I can't think of a better example of this is a time capsule in terms of performance. I can't think of another film to compare it to, off the top of my head, that delivers, such virtuoso performances and such focused performances from three actors of power, and how they share the screen and somehow dominate each other, but yet not. I don't know. It's absolutely fascinating. The acting is why you go to this movie, and if you watch the movie again, it's probably for the acting. But I'm sitting here trying to think of other films where all the performances have been that strong and that captivating, and I'm not doing it right now. I'm certainly not going to waste your time trying to, I guess. So whatever. I think I've talked enough. So that's The Master for the second go around. For me, it's a solid 9 this time. I liked it much more. Thank you very much.